Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Cannella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Latta, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nilsson, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Stone, Vidak, Warkowski, Wolk.
The Secretary notices the absence of a quorum. Will ask members to report to the floor as soon as possible. Sergeants, please start to call offices. Thank you. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Cannella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Latta, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nilsson, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Runner, Stone, Vidak, Warkowski, Wolk.
The Secretary notices the absence of a quorum. Will members please report to the floor so we can begin today's session? Mr. Secretary, please call roll.
Allen, Anderson, Bates, Bell, Berryhill, Block, Cannella, De Leon, Fuller, Gaines, Galgiani, Hall, Hancock, Hernandez, Hertzberg, Hill, Hueso, Huff, Jackson, Latta, Leno, Leyva, Liu, McGuire, Mendoza, Mitchell, Monning, Morlock, Morrell, Wynn, Nilsson, Pan, Pavley, Roth, Runner, Stone, Vidak, Wachowski, Wolk.
Thank you very much. A quorum is present. Would the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the gallery please rise? We'll be led in prayer this afternoon by our chaplain, Sister Michelle Gorman. After which, please remain standing and we'll be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Senator Morlock.
Good afternoon. As we return from our short break, let us ask God to continue to be with us in the days of decision that lie ahead. Loving Creator, you have been our God in the past, leading us from captivity to freedom. You are the Spirit we admire and worship now beneath this colossal creation around us. But mostly, you are the God of many names and infinite mystery, who draws us toward a world of justice and love, toward hope, toward creativity, and energetic life. We thank you for all you promise as you reassure us of your caring, speaking to the silent expectations of our hearts. You are our God, and we seek to be your hands and feet and heart. Amen.
Colleagues, when I was supervisor for the County of Orange, when I did the pledge, I would give a little historical trivia of that day in history for this country. Since I didn't have much notice, I want to say that on this day in history, April 6, 1974, 200,000 people attended California Jam, a concert in the city of Ontario. But it's a great country, great state. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready to begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome back to session, colleagues. We'll begin with privileges of the floor. Privileges of the floor. Seeing none, we'll move on to messages from the governor. They'll be deemed read. Messages from the assembly, deemed read. Reports of committee will be deemed read and amendments adopted. Moving on to motions, resolutions, and notices. There are floor amendments at the desk, and they'll be deemed adopted. Consideration of daily file. Second reading, Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 33 with amendments, 125 with amendments, Senate Bill 35, and Senate Bill 186.
Thank you very much. Moving on to gubernatorial appointments, file item number 5. Mr. Senator De Leon, you prepared to present on file item number 5?
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, we have file item number 5, as Madam President just announced. We have the 2 confirmations that are before us today. We have Mr. Frank M. Brass as well as Catherine Zawalski, both members of the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board. These appointees were heard in the Rules Committee on March 4th and approved on a bipartisan vote, 5-0. There was no opposition. Frank Bass is a reappointment. He has served on the board since 2001. He is an attorney and with over 25 years of experience, specifically practicing workers' compensation law. Catherine Zalowski is also an attorney specializing in workers' comp law and most recently worked for the Department of Industrial Relations as chief counsel. These appointees have the necessary experience and expertise to navigate California's very complex workers' compensation system. Again, bipartisan vote, 5-0. Madam President, colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion and debate on file item number 5? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. I. Anderson. I. Bates. I. Bell. I. Berryhill. I. Block. I. Cannella. De Leon. I. Fuller. I. Gaines. I. Galgiani. I. Hall. I. Hancock. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Weso. I. Huff. Jackson. I. Lara. Leno. I. Leyva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell.
Aye.
I. Monning. I. Morlock. I. Morrell. I. Wynn. I. Nielsen. I. Pan. Pavley. Roth. I. Runner. Stone. I. Vidak. I. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye. Cannella, aye.
Mr. Secretary, please call the absentees.
Hancock, aye. Huff. Aye. Latta. Pan. Pavley. Runner.
Ayes 35, no 0. Confirmation passes. File item number 7, Mr. Pro Tem.
Thank you again, Madam President. Before us, colleagues, we have four appointments. Lawrence R. Booth, who is up for the member of the California Building Standards Commission. We also have Scott Bowling, Sarita Coley, and Renee Lahner, all members of the Board of Behavioral Sciences. These appointments were heard, the appointees were heard in the Rules Committee March 11th. They were approved in a bipartisan manner, 5-0. There was no opposition. Mr. Booth, again, up for the California Building Standards Commission, was approved by the Senate on a bipartisan vote earlier this year, 31-0. The governor reappointed him to the very same position. Mr. Scott Bowling is a new member of the Board of Behavioral Sciences. He's a psychologist and the president and CEO of the Exceptional Children's Foundation. And lastly, Sarita Coley as well as Renee Lahner are both psychologists and are reappointments to the board. Again, a bipartisan vote, 5-0. On March 11th, colleagues, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion and debate? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. I. Anderson. I. Bates. I. Bell. I. Berryhill. I. Block. I. Cannella. I. De Leon. I. Fuller. I. Gaines. I. Galgiani. I. Hall. I. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Weso. I. Huff. I. Jackson. I. Lara. Leno. I. Leyva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell.
Aye.
I. Monning. I. Morlock. I. Morrell. I. Wynn. I. Nielsen. I. Pan. I. Pavley. Roth. I. Runner.
How are you?
Stone. I. Vidak. I. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Ayes 36, no 0. The appointees are confirmed. Moving on to unfinished business, file item number 10, SCR 16. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Concurrent Resolution 16 by Senator Block relative to Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Week.
Senator Block.
at the Pro Tem's mic. Thank you, Madam President. I rise to ask for concurrence on SCR 16, which would declare the week of March 2nd, 2015 through March 8, 2015 as having been Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Week. It had technical amendments in the Assembly, and co-authors were added. Those are the only changes. I respectfully ask for an aye vote in concurrence.
Any discussion or debate? Any objection to the use of the unanimous roll call? Seeing none, 36 ayes, no, 0, the measure passes. The Assembly amendments are concurred in. Moving on to Senate third reading. File item number 11, SCR 17, Senator Jackson. Pass on file. File item number 12, SJR 4, Senator Lara. Pass on file. File item 14, SCR 33, Senator Fuller. Pass on file. File item 16, SB 138, Senator Fuller. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Senate Bill 138 by Senator Fuller, an act relating to physical education.
Senator Fuller.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members. I rise to present to you Senate Bill 138 relating to physical education credits for high school rodeo athletes. SB 138 clarifies for school boards that a local school district has the option to give PE credits to high school rodeo athletes in grades 10 through 12. Last year, I was honored to acknowledge top-ranking student athletes from the California High School Rodeo Association in this chamber.
Thank you.
When we met after the session, they proposed this bill idea. These young men and women spend countless hours practicing and preparing for events, as well as caring for their horses on a daily basis. However, due to the vagueness in the education code, some schools fail to recognize rodeo as a sport on the same level as other sports. This has caused some athletes to turn to homeschool or independent study, which is not good for them or the school. There are several sports where players are given an exemption from physical education in grades 10 through 12 because they are already participating in sports activities for school. These athletes train hours each day to be in top physical shape, just as athletes from other sports. Allowing students to receive PE credit for rodeo will give these students the ability to use their time and take another class such as chemistry, calculus, or English. This gives these student athletes the opportunity to remain competitive athletically and academically. Some schools in California do this, but others don't, leading to a disadvantage for some. Many of us here have high school rodeo athletes in our district. I think many of you remember the athletes that came to visit. Every area of California is represented by one of the 9 high school rodeo districts. We do not want these students to feel that they must turn to independent study or homeschool to achieve their athletic and academic goals and dreams. I respectfully ask you to support these student athletes by clarifying the code and giving school districts the clear option to give PE credit to high school rodeo athletes if they so desire. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Fuller. Is there any discussion and debate on Senate Bill 138? Seeing none, is there any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? Seeing none, the ayes 36, no 0, the measure passes.
Thank you.
Assembly third reading. File item number 18, ACR 13, Senator Liu. Are you prepared to present? Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Concurrent Resolution 13 by Assemblymember Williams relative to a day of remembrance.
Senator Liu.
Thank you, Madam President. ACR 13 observes February 19th as a day of remembrance of the Japanese-American internment during World War II. On February 19th, 1942, President Franklin Roosevelt signed Executive Order 9066, forcing more than 120,000 American citizens and permanent residents of Japanese ancestry into internment camps. These individuals, many of whom were women and children, were forced to leave their homes, abandon their livelihoods, and relocate to one of 10 camps in the western states. In 1988, President Ronald Reagan signed the Civil Liberties Act into law. The act acknowledged that Executive Order 9066 had caused racial prejudice toward Japanese Americans. It served as an apology and provided restitution to individuals who had suffered internment. This year, 2015, is the 73rd anniversary of the signing of Executive Order 9066. Observing a day of remembrance increases public awareness and serves as a reminder of our nation's past mistakes and the long-lasting effects that prejudice can have in our society. May we learn from history and not repeat it, and I ask for your aye vote on this measure.
Thank you very much. Is there any discussion and debate on the resolution? Senator Morlock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to, as a historian, say yes, I'm in support of this item. I also want to just thank the State Historical Resources Commission for recognizing our internment camps as historical landmarks, specifically Manzanar on 395 in Inyo, which I would encourage all of you to visit if you have not already. And we have sites also in Santa Anita, Fresno, Tulare, Salinas, Merced, Sacramento, Stockton, Tanforan, and Turlock. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion or debate? Senator Nielsen.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I always rise on this occasion to reflect on my own personal experiences with this. Many in our valley were of Japanese descent, farmers and neighbors. And as a very little boy, I remember them being relocated. And I remember my dad taking care of their property until they returned. I remember him handing over the keys to the tractor when one of our neighbors finally got back several years later. There were others who took advantage of those who were dislocated, but most came back, were well received and supported by their neighbors, became the bedrock of our California heritage, the same bedrock they were when this very unfortunate decision came to visit upon them. And do remember, the Japanese battalions were some of the most brave and heroic fighters and the most awarded soldiers during World War II. They are a part of our fiber and fabric.
Any further discussion or debate? Senator Liu, would you like to close?
Simply ask for your support on the bill.
Thank you very much. Is there any objection to the use of unanimous roll call? See none, ayes 36, no 0. The resolution is adopted. Moving on to Assembly third reading again, file item 19, AJR number 4, Senator Wolk. Mr. Secretary, please read.
Assembly Joint Resolution 4 by Assemblymember Dodd relative to Berryessa Snow Mountain National Monument.
Senator Wolk.
Thank you, Madam President. Members, AJR 4, which has been introduced by Assemblymember Dodd, requests the President of the United States to declare the Berryessa Snow Mountain region a national monument. This area is a national treasure. This region's natural beauty, cultural history, geological wonders, and economic significance place it among the most special yet protected places in the country. Working with Congressman Mike Thompson, area congressmen and senators have introduced this effort, have formed a coalition with many, many groups to support this effort. More than 200 businesses in the area surround the Berryessa Snow Mountain region. There are also 5 counties involved. All of them support this effort. I'd like to assure you that built into the legislation is the effort to protect private property rights and current access to and the uses of private land will not be changed. Livestock grazing and existing agricultural uses shall continue, and fire suppression shall not be impeded. I ask for your aye vote. I ask for you to join me in this very, very important protection effort.
Thank you, Senator Wolk. Is there any discussion and debate on this resolution? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen. Aye. Anderson. Aye. Bates. No. Bell. Aye. Berryhill. No. Block. Aye. Canella. De Leon. I. Fuller. Gaines. Galgioni. I. Hall. I. Hancock. I. Hernandez. I. Hertzberg. I. Hill. I. Hueso. I. Huff. Jackson. I. Lara. Leno. I. Leyva. I. Liu. I. McGuire. I. Mendoza. I. Mitchell.
Aye.
I. Monning. I. Morlock. No. Morrell. No. Wynn. Nielsen. No. Pan. I. Pavley. Roth. I. Runner. Stone. No. Vidak. No. Wachowski. I. Wolk. Wolk, aye. Anderson, aye to no. Huff, no.
Mr. Secretary, please call the absentees.
Fuller, no. Cannella. Gaines. No. Latta. Wynn. No. Pavley. Runner.
Ayes 23, noes 12. The resolution is adopted. Moving on to file item number 25, ACR 31. Senator Galgiani, are you prepared to present this? We'll pass on file. We'll return to motions and resolutions. This is the opportunity to present adjournments in memory if colleagues have them. Motions and resolutions. Senator Stone.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise today to adjourn in the memory of Frances D. Schofield, who passed away in early March of this year. Ms. Schofield was a devoted mother, a loving grandmother, and a proud great-grandmother. She was one of 5 children of Maria and James Dumakis and graduated from the Los Angeles School of Nursing in 1940. Her family was instrumental in building the St. Sophia Greek Orthodox Cathedral in Los Angeles and founded the Dumac Marshmallow Company. Frances was always generous, she was always compassionate, and her silent wisdom was an inspiration not only for her family, but all of those whom she came in contact with. She led her family by example, leaving a wonderful legacy of putting her family first. Frances is survived by her children who were with her when she passed away at her home. Maria Cantos, Dr. Dean Schofield, Christina Winston, her caregiver, Zenny Chavez, and my good friend, Julie Price, will miss Frances dearly. Frances is also survived by her brother, Robert Dumakis. As her obituary so correctly put it, Frances Schofield died as she lived, with grace and elegance. Please keep her and your family in our prayers. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much, Senator Stone. Senator Leno.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I would ask that you join me in remembering the life of a towering, pioneering San Franciscan whose life had international impact. Nan Tucker McAvoy was the last surviving family member of the original founders of the San Francisco Chronicle, who died March 26 at the age of 95. She was committed to public service, to philanthropy, and to social justice. Mrs. McAvoy was the granddaughter of M.H. DeYoung, who was the co-founder of the San Francisco Chronicle, and she was a longtime board chair of Chronicle Publishing. She also ran the Peace Corps African program as a special assistant to Sergeant Shriver back in the 1960s, served as a board member of the University of California, the San Francisco Foundation, the San Francisco Symphony, and the Smithsonian American Art Museum in Washington, D.C. After the Chronicle was sold to the Hearst Corporation in 1999, Mrs. McAvoy went to Tuscany and studied the art of olive oil making. And after doing her research, looking at microclimates and soil, she found and purchased 1,000 saplings of her 4 favorite variety and planted them on 80 acres in Marin County, where she established the McAvoy Ranch Extra Virgin Olive Oil production and has been rated as the top olive oil around the world. She said often that whatever one does, one wants to do the very best. We will miss this powerful and creative, accomplished, and entrepreneurial woman. She is survived by her son, Nyan, and 3 grandchildren. I ask that you join me in a journey in her memory today.
Thank you. Senator Nielsen.
Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, if I may, I have 2 adjourns in memory, 2 individuals who are kind of our own, if you will. First, I'd like to ask that we adjourn in the honor of Ray Richter. Ray is the wife of one of our former colleagues here, Assemblyman Bernie Richter. Ray was raised in a small farm, and she grew up during the Depression. Worked at a soda fountain as a young girl, turning her money over to the family to support her own family. In high school, she met Bernie Richter, who came to be her husband. They had 3 very prominent businesses up in Chico, where they settled. She was an instrumental part of all of those businesses that Bernie ran. She supported him in his leadership goals, and he had many in the community, and then he came here. And again, Ray tended to the home front while Bernie did his public service here. There's a little straight stretch of Highway 99 headed north from here by the airport, named after her husband. They were married, I think, 51 years. She, in her 40s, became a licensed pilot, certified in 2 different kinds of planes, just something she wanted to do. She loved being a grandmother and attending to the 9 grandchildren that blessed her family. She leaves behind Karen Kalin and her husband Peter, Suzanne and her husband David, who was my chief of staff, was Bernie's chief of staff, and Doug LaMalfa's chief of staff. So again, another connection to our institution. Catherine Darby also, and then she has a sister, Marge Fredrickson, and a brother, Gary Smith. I got to know Ray in her later years. She struggled for a long time with the disease, but never lost her good spirits. And she had the blessing of having her family all around her in the last days. And we say a prayer for and honor the memory of Ray Richter. In addition, if I may, ask that we further adjourn in the honor of Barbara June Polka. Barbara's connection here is her daughter is Melanie Reagan, a longtime consultant to our Joint Fares Allocation and Classification Committee. She was married in 1951 to Michael Polka. They had 57 years of happy marriage. They moved to Weaverville. Michael was a surgeon, a doctor, dentist, and veterinarian in that small rural county. You kind of had to do it all up there, and he certainly did. They had 3 children, Sandra Polka, Melanie Polka Reagan, who I've just mentioned, Michael John Polka from Weaverville. They traveled together to medical conferences around the world and around the country. He was very active in his profession. They toured Germany, Poland, and Russia. She shared these experiences when they got back, going to elementary schools, trying to make those students more worldly. She was president of the PTA in Weaverville and a member of the school board trustees for 16 years in that small school district. And she was a catechism teacher at St. Patrick's Catholic Church. Probably most significantly were her thespian talents. She loved the theater. She started the Pacific Players in Stockton that later became the University Players, and then established the Trinity Players up in that small county. She served on the board of directors 15 years, and 15 years was president. She wrote a comedy play of her own, and she did some of the plays I'm sure that you're familiar with: Arsenic and Old Lace, Harvey, Scrooge the Musical Fantastics, Fanny Hurst. She played Fanny Hurst and sang as well. She was one of 10 individuals in the United States to receive the American Association of Community Theater AACT Award for Outstanding Contribution to Theater Arts. One of 10 in the whole country. She wrote grant applications for the state parks, receiving $1 million for a performing arts center, again in that small town. Another woman who made a big mark in her life, who will live on in our hearts, and her daughter here with us, Melanie. I ask that we adjourn in her honor today.
Thank you very much, Senator. Senator Bates.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to ask our body to adjourn today in the memory of William Harry Bill Hollingsworth of Oceanside, who passed away March 21st, 2015 at the age of 87. He was the beloved uncle of former Senator Dennis Hollingsworth. Bill served his country in the United States Army. However, it was in water where Bill made his mark on San Diego and California. He landed a job with Rainbow Water District digging ditches and operating equipment, and rose to the position of general manager of the district. Papers stick together. His next big achievement was the development and founding of Fallbrook Air Park, which was built and operated entirely through private investment until it became part of the County of San Diego's air operations more recently. In 1969, Bill became the general manager of Livenhain Municipal Water District and served there for 21 years as the district grew from 800 to more than 48,000 customers. Early on, he realized San Diego was in need of more local water storage, and he found the right spot. His leadership and vision resulted in persuading the Bureau of Land Management to grant the district the canyon and more than 700 acres that are now the Livenhain Dam and the Elfin Forest Recreation Area. The dam and resulting storage have resulted in helping provide a safe and reliable water supply for the thousands of new customers for the district, and is now an integral part of the water system of the San Diego County Water Authority. While at Livenhain, Bill realized the need for statewide coordination of special districts and served as founder and first president of the California Special Districts Association. It's been said that he not only served as the organization's first president, he ran it from his garage for the first several years. Here again, he showed his innovative streak when he realized public infrastructure provided by the special districts required the type of financing available to the state and other local agencies, and he began a successful effort with Speaker Unruh and the state treasurer to create participation certificates for special districts to be able to apply for low-cost financing of infrastructure projects. His work at the Special Districts Association is still recognized today in their annual Hollingsworth Award of Excellence to the individual who's been vigilant in the championing special districts statewide. After his retirement from Livenhain, Bill was in high demand as an interim general manager at water and special districts all over the state in need of reorganization. And he served on the San Diego County Water Authority Board, the County Grand Jury, and the Fallbrook Gem and Mineral Society. He leaves behind a legacy and a fulfilled vision in California's water and governance of special districts, but his most lasting professional legacy is the many people he led and whose careers began under his quiet demeanor and can-do spirit, and they are now serving in various leadership capacities all over California. He's survived by his 3 children, 6 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. I ask that we adjourn in his memory today and extend our condolences to his family and friends in their loss.
Thank you very much, Senator Bates. Will everyone who presented adjournments in memory please submit the names to the desk and extend our sympathies to the family? If there is no other business, no other motions or resolutions, Senator De Leon, the desk is clear.
Thank you, Madam President. Colleagues, I want to welcome each and every one of you back to the Capitol Dome, to your place of work. We're looking forward because starting tomorrow, we'll have a whole series of hearings, policy committee hearings, and we'll get back into the groove for the returning members. For the newest members, obviously, it'll be a new experience. I wish you the very best. By all means, lean on your more experienced colleagues, Democrat or Republican. Come calling on me if there's any assistance that I could provide, except for any votes. You're going to have to work those on your own across the board. Just want to let you know. But anything that we can do to make the experience as pleasurable as possible, please lean on an experienced colleague, Democrat or Republican. They have a wealth of information and knowledge, and more importantly, experience. We will convene back here on the floor Thursday at 9 a.m. I hope you have a wonderful Monday. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you very much. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Thursday at 9 a.m.